Well, two different philosophies, I guess. One, offensively, we got 9 starters back, and, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to us offensively now. Having that many starters back, it's more about developing some depth and getting the starters, just a year better. I mean, everything that we do makes sense. We got goals that we want to improve on, obviously, but it's more about just getting these guys better at what they're doing. Defensively, it's going to be more like we were last year offensively. It's a new coaches, new scheme. It's kind of a fresh start for a whole bunch of defensive players. Last year, we didn't have any starters offensively. We took everybody and we reevaluated them, and we ended up getting some guys that hadn't played in the past, like Ryan Nealon and Willie Millhouse and Tyler Rader and some guys like that. Gave them a fresh start. We kind of want that same thing to happen for us defensively. Everybody's slate's being wiped clean, and they can get out there and they can show these new guys what they got. So different philosophy with what we're doing offensively and defensively, but again, it's all, regardless of what it is, practice is about getting better, and get out there and you got to do what you got to do to get better. Excited about the specialists returning too. I mean, we got all those special teams guys that, you got Tavon, who's a returning All-American guy. You got Tyler's won some games around here for us, and Corey needs to work on some consistency, but to the point, he pretty much won the pit game for us. So I like what we got coming back. We just gotta work a little harder to develop some depth and get better on all 3 sides. It won't affect what we do. I mean, we got a plan. I know it's going to increase the expectations. That's unavoidable. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. Which that worked out for us last year. But if we get a little big-headed because we scored that many points, I just got to remind them we scored 10 against South Florida the week prior to that, or the game prior to that. So we're far from having things figured out. I mean, the 70-point thing was a barrage due to the fact that, all 3 sides of the ball played well and we just caught fire and it worked out. But there's watching the cut-ups, offensively watching the cut-ups, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do to get better. Situational stuff's probably the one thing that stands out offensively, just as far as understanding what the specific situations are and how you attack specific things to get better. I mean, 3rd and 2 is something that we weren't very good at. Completing balls in the score zone was something that we weren't very good at. So, we got an overall objective, and we'll take it day by day, and it's our whole 3-day installation thing that we just got specific things that we want to work on. But in year 2, it's going to be more for us to get better offensively. I mean, we're going to have yards and we're going to make plays and all that stuff, but for us to be a good team and be effective, we got to get better from a situational standpoint. That's what makes you good offensively, and we weren't very good offensively last year when it came to situations. I don't know, really. There's obviously going to be more touchbacks. The trend in the NFL, and I haven't talked to these guys about it much, but the trend in the NFL was more big plays too, because they'd come from 8 yards into the end zone, and it seemed like there was a lot more return for touchdowns. But we'll evaluate it and look at it. It's all about what the kicker is, I guess, as far as getting it into the end zone. There'll probably be more touchbacks, but then you start relaxing because there's been 6 touchbacks, and then a guy brings it out from 8 yards deep, and that could end up catching some people off guard. And I think Tavon will have an opportunity to do that as well. You may not get as many returns, but may have some bigger ones. We're not going to talk about Heisman potential. I mean, that's all about – we're not going to do any campaigns or any of that. It's all about how you do on the football field, and if he plays well, much like the quarterback at Baylor last year, heading into the year, there wasn't any Heisman talk or Heisman campaigns, and due to the fact that he played good on the field, that's what counts. It won't change much. I mean, everybody's kind of got their role offensively, and going into the game from a game preparation standpoint throughout the course of the game and all that. I mean, Shannon and Jake both are upstairs in the box and will remain upstairs in the box and give me information and all that. So, Shannon's a guy that's been in this offense for longer than has been longer than anybody, and it was offensive coordinator for 6 years prior to coming here. So, it's something that he's done in the past, and everybody was pretty comfortable with him remaining to do that.
Last season?
Well, much like what we're trying to do defensively. I mean, there's a lot of good defensive coordinators in the Big 12, obviously, and a lot of those teams have seen it. But we've seen it too, and I think there's probably a little bit more unknowns when it comes to West Virginia than it is for, what the Big 12 is going to pose as far as what this staff understands. So yeah, it's going to be challenging. There's no question. I mean, we're understanding what the challenges are, and we're just going to try to work to get a little bit better each week and line up and see what happens.
It's much more often.
Well, we got you look at what the last 3 games of the year were with Pitt and South Florida and Clemson. It's not going to be any more spread out than that. I thought, the nature of the Big East was a little different, but it had been changing for a couple of years, and especially last year it had been changing as far as the movement east. From those type of offenses going east. It's going to happen more, and that's why it's important for us to have a whole bunch of bodies. And when we go into camp, we're still looking for about 10, 15 more good quality walk-ons to get our numbers where we're at 125, 130. And when we line up in camp, everybody's going to get a chance, because you got to play more people, and you got to get guys understanding that the game's different. It's changed. It's more up tempo. There's more plays in the game. You got to cover more field. So, that's one reason why we hired some of the guys that we hired, because they understand that better than anybody. Well, we can't give out all our secrets. We want to schematically. We got to hang on to some tricks and all that. But I don't know. Coverage-wise stuff's going to be relatively similar. But the front's going to be different, and the fits are going to be different, and how they're going to be coached is going to be different. So looking forward to getting out there, and like I said, everybody's pretty excited. I think if you gauge our team with morale and with excitement, I think it's as high as it can possibly be. So those guys are anxious to get coached.